Hey guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm talking goals. How I did on my February goals and what I'm planning for March. And a lot of this will reference back my 2018 reading and writing goals videos. I will link those up above and down below if you would like to check them out. But let's get right into it, okay? I'm going to kind of sort of separate these out into read, write, roam, and random other goals. Assorted things, you know. Read, write, roam, random, read, write, roam, random. Nailed it. So first let's start with reading. For the month of February, I decided that I was going to participate in the Blackout, and I will leave links down below to the appropriate channels for the people who created it and other people that I know that were participating, which is awesome. Of the 5 books that I planned on reading, I read 4 of them. All American Boys, A Caught a Witch, The Bells, and Bad Feminist. The one I did not get to is the one that I said in the video I was most apprehensive about reading because it's a little bit heavier sci-fi than I'm used to, even though it sounds so good. But that book was the 5th season, and I want to read it. I want to read it so bad. So I am going to get to it. I'm determined. And that way I'll also check off one of my 2018 reading goals, which is to read a book in each genre. That way a sci-fi heavy one, I could be like, you know what, I did it, I gave it a shot. And 4 out of 5 books is also somewhat on par with my 2018 reading goals, my overall goal, which is 50 books. And so that would be like 48 books if I stayed on that track. And because I read a little bit extra in January, my February being down 1 is not bad at all. So you know what? The more I think about this, the more pretty successful I feel about this month. Now let's talk about writing. And first, the big news out of the way, I already talked about it in my Manuscript Monday video, but I finished the revisions on my YA pirate fantasy novel, and I'm still so pumped from that, like it's ridiculous. I actually have been working on it this morning because, like I said in the Manuscript Monday video, I have a couple little things that need to be tweaked throughout the course of the novel, and so notebook, 4 notes. Obviously. Next up is that I was supposed to write 4 chapters in the story that I'm co-writing with my best friend, and I give myself like a 50% on this one. Let's talk about co-writing real quick. I kind of want to make a video on this, but I don't know how many people are actually interested in co-writing a story with their friends or other writers or anything. Like, I don't know what kind of interest is there, but it's a totally different dynamic than writing a story by yourself. So going into February, we had high hopes that each one of us could produce a chapter a week so that we basically have like 8 chapters done. No. We decided to then do a chapter a week. All in all, like, instead of the 4 chapters I was supposed to write, I was only gonna write 2 chapters. Man, scheduling is tough when you're writing anyways, and so then writing with another person is just like an added level of difficulty. And since changing it, we've actually worked faster than we were before. So I think just figuring out what works for you is the moral to the story, and also that it's harder to do when you're working with someone else. Next up was an article for my freelance career that I wanted to write, not something that I was commissioned to write or anything else, a topic that I chose, and the goal had been that I was going to post that, and this is another semi-success story because I have written one. I think it's almost ready to go whenever I decide to publish it, but I did decide to wait a little bit, so I had somewhat of a backlog, and I will talk about that more in my goals for March. Now for the roaming, my goal was to solidify the stops on my trips with specific dates for the entire 8 months, and I did it. I'm as certain as I can be at this point about the dates that I will be in certain locations, and I know I need to tell some of you guys when those are, so I will get on that. I'll also try and make another video about that in the future, but I'm so excited. I say as certain as I can be because of course some of this is subject to change. If I just super love a city, or if I just honestly don't like a city or a national park or whatever, I'm giving myself the freedom to go ahead and move on from there if I'm not enjoying it, or stay a little bit longer if I am. So within reason, and I would argue like plus or minus a few days toward the end of the trip, I should be exactly where I think I'm gonna be. It's getting so close now. It's a month and a half away, which is crazy. Crazy. On to the random other goals I had for the month. One of them was running, which no, did not run. You know, it was really rainy a lot of the time, and I went on a lot of walks, but something about running sometimes, like once I get into the swing of it, I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite like pastimes, but then when I get off schedule with running like I am right now, I'm just so unmotivated to get back into it because I'm still not great enough at it that it's easy. Like, I still have to push myself, and sometimes it's so easy to be like, oh, I just want to go on an easy breezy walk, and then running never happens, which is what happened every day of February. And then also moving. I went through a lot of my books. I didn't get rid of as many as I'd hoped I would, but I am gearing up to go ahead and start boxing everything. All right, those are all of my February goals. Now let's go on to the March goals. For my reading goals for this month, I want to read the 5th season, which is a carryover from Blackout, like I mentioned. And then also I want to read all of the Stephanie Perkins books, because that was one of the things that, like, kind of a separate goal. I don't know that I actually mentioned it, but just to like get on top of some of these booktube recommendations. Like, everyone loves Stephanie Perkins, and so I just want to understand. And I finished last night Lola and the Boy Next Door, and I know I read that out of order because Anna and the French Kiss is supposed to be first, but whatever. I read it, I loved it, I'm excited for the other ones, and yeah. So that'll be at least 4 books if I don't happen to reread one of my old favorites. I think those are doable, especially since I've already read one of them. For the writing section of this, I have beta reads coming up, and I am so excited and a little nervous, actually a lot nervous. I'm always nervous just when you're giving someone your work, not because I feel attached to the project, because I am, of course, but ultimately I want it to get better. I want it to be way better. But it is kind of nerve-wracking every time you give someone something new to read, because you never know how they're going to react or if you've done a good enough job yet to convey the message you were hoping to. And so once I'm finished with the notebook notes, I'm going to print and bind my book and then give it to my 2 beta readers. The next writing goal I have is for Camp NaNoWriMo, which I think you can see the banner behind me, I have put up again, and I will have a video for that tomorrow, I think, about prepping for Camp NaNoWriMo. Basically right now I'm just in the midst of choosing which story I want to work on, and then I'm just gonna be prepping the entire rest of March because that's how I like to do it. I love prepping. Prep, prep, prep. For my co-written story, I plan to do-ish 2 chapters. If I happen to hit more, all the better, but that's the goal I'm setting it at, just 2 chapters. Just 2. And once I have the YA pirate story in other people's hands, I'm going to move on to the second draft of another story that I have. So yeah, I'm just constantly kind of working on something. And I'm ramping up for last month because this time my goal is to write 3 articles for my freelance career that I want to write personally, that I choose the topic on. I already have them chosen, so the easy part is done. I know what I want to write. The hard part is going to be all of the research and then actually writing them. At some point I really need to pick a date that I'm going to start launching these out and stick with it. That could be another goal for March. Pick a date. Pick a date, pick a date. Kate need to pick a date. That sounded kind of caveman-y. Kate need date. I need to pick a date though. For roaming, I have the final prep for my trip, which is basically like the first leg, which should take me all the way through California, and I'm starting in Texas. The first leg is just to get hostels, make sure I have reservations at the different state and national parks that I need, and I'm so excited. And also I need to finalize my budget for the entirety of the trip, which is something that I will definitely talk about and mention in future videos. Again, if you're curious, comment down below and let me know what your questions are. My final random goals are that I really do want to run. I promise. Self. I do want to run. And so I think I will try and do Couch to 5K again. I don't think I have too many times this month where I'm expected to be out of town, so that's always helpful. And I just need to start. Maybe I'll start today, maybe. Do you see how I'm already like... No, I will start today. And as for moving, the timing just kind of worked out where my parents have bought a house and they're gonna have an extra room. And because I'm going to be gone for 8 months, there's no point in getting a new lease. So I'm just gonna move some of my stuff into my parents' new home, which also means that I will be the manual labor in helping them move. So I need to get all of my stuff boxed up, and then I will also go and help them move all of their stuff. And this is a goal that'll have to be successful because otherwise I'm kind of SOL. So I know at least one thing next month that I'll be able to check off. All right, that's it for all of my March goals. I just have high hopes for the month, like all months. Please comment down below and let me know what your goals are for March, how you did on your goals for February, if you set any, and anything you're really looking forward to for the rest of the year, and also what your favorite month of the year is. I would love to hear about it. I was about to say mine's Halloween, as if that's the month, but that's how I feel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna get back to reviewing my notes, and I will see you all tomorrow with a new video about Camp NaNoWriMo. Bye. Ooh, I caught that. My phone almost fell. So going into February, my god. How long has that been out for? As well as I can. That didn't work.